I want you guys to meet an old friend of mine in today's video. Oh, welcome back here to Nate's Trucks. Today I'm going to be more formally introducing you guys to my 2004 F-150 FX4. I briefly gave an introduction to this truck in my last and my first video here on the channel, and it's fitting that I start by making content on this truck out of all of the vehicles that are in the garage available for this channel. And that's because it's my oldest truck, and it's technically the first truck that I have ever personally owned. I bought this truck at 153,000 miles and paid $9,500 for it, which at the time was a super good deal. When I first walked into that dealership, the sticker on the truck had been 14.5. It was crossed out and it was 12.5, and the dealership owner said that he could come down probably to 9.5, which was about $2,000 out of my budget. I don't actually know much backstory on this truck other than what the owner of the dealership told me. He said that the previous owner of this pickup was a Marine, and he had just gotten back from tour there into Billings, Montana, and he was driving down the street that runs right in front of the dealership. He happened to look over and see sitting there a practically brand new 2017 F-150 that was very similar spec to this one, black with a grill guard and super nice crew cab short bed FX4. And he drove down the road a little bit, flipped a U-turn, come back, pulled into the dealership, traded this truck in, and bought that 2017. This truck, when I went to look at it, had 153,000 miles, and the motor ticked. It had the Ford famous cam phaser tick, which I said I would never buy a Ford with that cam phaser tick, but if you know, as you know, if you know these trucks, they all have that cam phaser tick. It's all the problem. I wouldn't buy, personally, I wouldn't buy a 5.4 3-valve Triton, which is funny. I looked over there and yeah, I own 2 of these pickups. They're not horrible trucks, they're not a horrible motor. I would tend to agree with most mechanics, it probably is the worst motor, or one of the worst motors that has ever been produced. I'm going to do a video on why you should not buy one of these trucks in the future. So if you're looking into one of these, do not under any circumstance buy a 2004 to 2010 Ford pickup with the 5.4 3-valve Triton or Expedition, Excursion, anything like that. You really don't want one. You want to avoid them at all costs. Yes, they are cheaper than most pickups though. At the time, a comparable truck from Chevrolet would have been about $21,000. So I had it in my mind that I was looking for an F-150. I wanted just a 1500. I wanted an automatic, something nice and easy to drive around. It had to have 4-wheel drive. At the time I was traveling from Wyoming to Idaho to college all of the time, and then back home to visit, and so it had to have 4-wheel drive because primarily when I went to school was in the winter, and in the summer I was home working, so I didn't really need the pickup in the summer, but in the winter time I needed the pickup. So I decided against an SUV. My dad talked me out of it. He said, well, you've always wanted a pickup, so let's go look at trucks. And I said, well, yeah, I guess, why not? You know, like, I didn't really want to spend a ton of money, but at the same time, I wanted to get something that was going to be super reliable and last me quite a while, which pickups seems to last more miles than other cars at times. So we were driving around, we were looking at trucks, looking at F-150s. We looked at several. They were in really rough shape, and they were like $10,000, $12,000, and the people that I would talk to at the dealerships, the salesmen, would not come down on their price. They'd wiggle a little bit, but not that much. When I rolled into this dealership, I saw this truck. I'm like, man, I'd love to go look at that. There's one in Cody that's dark gray, and it has like some striping, and it's the exact same thing. I think that one had 143,000 miles, and it had a ton of engine work, timing chain guides, cam phasers, all of that stuff. And it was like $1,000 cheaper than what I ended up buying this truck at. So I roll into that dealership, I see on the sticker of this truck $12,500, way out of my price range. There's no way I can afford this thing, and it's just super nice. It was probably the nicest F-150 in kind of that same price range that we'd looked at, that I thought maybe I could talk them down a little bit and could afford it. We're looking at it. The guy that owns the dealership comes out. It was kind of a smaller dealership. I think he might have been one of the only guys that worked there. And he said, well, you know, I don't know, why don't you go take it for a drive, see what you think, see if you like it or not. It had that cam phaser tick like it still does. It's a super noisy, clattery, loud pickup. Of course, it's gotten louder over time because I think I have a cracked manifold now, but that's besides the fact. We get in the truck, we hop on the road, drive it out, drive it into a parking lot. You know, we test four-wheel drive. We do, you know, the turn test for the CV axles and all that. Put it in reverse, put it in low. I mean, we're doing the whole test drive. Take it out on the freeway. This thing is amazing. Oh, gosh. When I bought it, it was still running like brand new. It drove amazing. It was just an all-around great truck. The only thing that was kind of a not so great thing, it had these Firestone tires on it that were probably at 50% tread, so I didn't replace them for like another 2 years. But they weren't my favorite, but that was kind of the only thing I didn't like about the truck, and that it didn't have the flip down center console. Instead, it had the shifter selector here in the middle, and you know, the center console, which I've actually grown to really like. I do still wish I had the flippy down thing, but the truck was perfect. I wanted to be able to put a grill guard on front. I knew that was going to be like another $1,000 or something, and there's no way to afford it. So I got back, we give the guy the keys, and I was pretty much just like, well, thanks for your time, I appreciate it. This is definitely, you know, now I know this is definitely what I'm looking for, what I want to be able to find at some point, and I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm just going to have to buy that one in Cody. It's had some paint peeling at the back. It wasn't perfect. I don't know if you've noticed, if you're a Ford fan, but the gray paint on these F-150s and 250s and 350s from 2004 to like 2006 actually peels quite a bit more than any of their other paint colors. So if you own a gray pickup, or if you're looking at one, just keep that in mind. That paint color specifically likes to peel, and the one in Cody had some of that paint peeling off the back. I was just thinking, oh, I don't really want to buy this truck and have to drive it around for the next 5 years and lose all the paint in the back end or have to repaint it. So to me, you know, I was willing to pay maybe another $1,000 that I didn't really have, but I don't know. I was handing the guy back his keys, like, yeah, thanks for the test drive, it was fun, whatever, you know, like, that's cool. And he said, well, what do you think you could do on this truck? And I said, well, I don't know, it's definitely like way out of my budget. I said I had a budget of like $8,000 at most. And he says, well, I'll tell you what, I'll do 9.5 on it. Or what did he say? I think he said I'll do 10 on it. And I said, well, it's still out of my budget. I want to be able to put a grill guard because I drive through Montana an awful lot. And he said, well, yeah, I'll leave you room for a grill guard in there. I'll do 9.5. I'm going to have to think about it a little bit. We're out of Wyoming, so I'll think about it on the drive home and I'll let you know. And we left. And like 2 or 3 hours later, maybe it was at night, I don't know, I was looking it back up on the internet and just looking through the pictures on this. And I was just kind of looking it back up on his dealer website. And I don't know. I felt really good about the truck, but at the same time, it was an awful lot of money. And it's one of those things that you realize that you should do, but you don't want to do, but you do it. So I called him back up and we were like, yeah, sure, we'll take it. And I think we drove up like 2 weeks later, or maybe a week later, or a few days later, got some financing sorted out, and we showed up and we bought the truck, took it home, and I've never regretted it. I never have. I've had a little bit of buyer's remorse in the past, thinking, well, I should have bought maybe an SUV, or I should have bought a car with all-wheel drive or something and saved quite a bit of money there and whatnot. But to be honest, I don't regret buying this truck at all. It is still my dream spec on a vehicle. The only thing that I wish that this truck had really were heated seats. I do wish it had that center, you know, flip down console for like the 6th person seat if you had to, but that's not a deal breaker for me. I wish it had heated seats. course, now that I know about all these newer trucks, I wish it had a backup camera, which of course I can add. But to this day, 2021, this is still my dream spec pickup. It's an automatic with 4-wheel drive. It's high enough off the ground, but it's still on its factory lift, which I'm not into lifting trucks and stuff. One day I might do it, but for my daily driver, I'm not into that. It's the FX4, which, you know, has the automatic locking diff. It's more sporty, more peppy, and more off-roady than the standard package. Has the 18-inch tires. I mean, this is like the spec that I've always wanted, and I love trucks in black, which I've kind of changed my mind on that. I love trucks in like dark gunmetal gray, and then your regular gray. I absolutely love that color. Being the exact spec that I've always dreamt of having, that I still love today, and being only like $1,500 out of my budget, really like 2,000 bucks out of my budget, because I did end up putting a grill guard on it for 800 bucks afterwards. I gave in and I bought the truck, as you do at a dealership, because salesmen sell you things, and it's actually been a really good truck. Okay, I hope any of that story made sense to you guys and that I didn't just ramble on. But I've owned this truck for over 4 years. I've put over 45,000 miles on it, and the only thing that I've done mechanically to this was, of course, replace the serpentine belt out of maintenance, put a few new idler pulleys in it. The alternator died on me once, so I replaced it, and then like 4,000 miles later I jumped to Buddy's car. He got the leads backwards. I was driving it after that about 500 miles and the alternator died again. Luckily with a lifetime warranty on it, but I do think it died because of that mishap. And now it's on like its 4th alternator, but it's been running great ever since. I put all new brake rotors and pads on it, and we've just done regular oil changes, full synthetic 520 every 5,000 miles. Actually, I used to use conventional, so every 3,000, but I just barely switched it to synthetic, which I regret not doing it a long time ago. And I'll talk about oils again in another video, so hit the subscribe button now so you don't miss that video, so that I can explain to you guys why I use synthetic and everything now. Okay, I ramble on way too much. So, F-150's got the 5.4 Triton in it. It's a crew cab, short box. Right now I'm running some Crosswind tires from Walmart on it. They're probably at about 50% tread as well. They're kind of budget cheap tires, but they've actually been amazing. They're 10 plies, they're pretty tready, and I need to take them in and get them rotated. I've never rotated them, which I kind of see some feathering in there and maybe a little bit out here. It might just be from pulling trailers and using it as a work truck. I don't know, could be the alignment, but I doubt that's out. This is my ranch hand grill guard that I put on when I bought the truck. They don't hold up as well as you think out here in the salty, wet climate like we have. I put some LEDs in the headlights, which I love. That front valance has always been missing since I've owned this pickup. And I think that this running board is a little crooked, which was not my fault. I bought the truck like that, but you can't really tell. I did lose a mud flap right there that I'm gonna have to replace. And I have a new addition to put on. This is why I hate these black pickup truck colors now, but I have a new addition to put onto the tailgate, which is one of them soft open tailgate things. Right now it's just your average tailgate. Here's the bed. It has a spray-in bed liner in it, which is something I've always wanted. And it's been raining, and you can see that it unfortunately is leaking right now. It's been leaking probably the last 10,000 miles. I think the seal went out of it up there. I don't know for sure, but I'm thinking I'm the second owner of this pickup. I'm not positive on that though. And of course, I just fully detailed the inside. The window regulator went out in there. First time it's ever happened to me. Super common issue on any of Ford's products, so I'm hoping not to have to get good at replacing these, but definitely was time that one of those went out. I knew it was gonna happen at some point. This stain's been on the seat too, unfortunately, since I bought it, and I cannot get it out. But it doesn't look that bad otherwise. This truck actually still is pretty close to the condition, or still in pretty close to the condition that it was when I bought it. Of course, there's a few new nicks and dings here and there, but holy smokes, this thing was well taken care of by the previous owner. And I'm thinking I'm the roughest thing it's ever seen, and I take really good care of it. And you know something funny? That's still the sticky tape in the window from my temporary tag when I bought the truck. That's how lazy I've been into cleaning that out. And the dome light in the back is also still burnt out from when I bought the truck. That's how lazy I've been there. Really good shape for this year of pickup and for this amount of miles now. Of course, I've rounded up about 50,000 miles, so it didn't have that many miles on it when I bought it. And I really have been the only person to drive it, so it's been just pretty much driven by one driver the whole time, and not really had a ton of passengers in and out of it. These trucks were some of the first to introduce the keypad outside of the vehicle. I think they might have done that in like 2001. I don't ever remember my code, but it is handy so that you don't have to have a key. Of course, this truck, being the FX4, has power everything, power seats, power windows, power locks, window lock, power mirrors. This has or is equipped with the audiophile sound system, so it gets this nice 13-inch subwoofer underneath the seats that even almost 20 years later sounds really good. Starting to rattle a little bit, but I like my music loud. So it's got automatic headlamps as well as a manual option for the park, and the headlights and the fog lights, which are now on. Something's screwed up with my switch, so it won't switch from high beams to low. It's done that ever since I've got it, and it's super annoying. There's your dimmer switch. Just your standard Ford instrument cluster. Unfortunately, nothing special, but I actually really like it. The FX4 of this year got the nice carbon fiber trim here. This is a 6 CD disc changer and radio, which I really like. I really want to replace this with a backup camera and just something that'll make the truck look a lot newer. I think in 2007, Ford themselves actually did that and put a nice touchscreen here. This one doesn't have it. This does not have dual climate control, and the AC in these trucks, for some reason, just in general, does not seem to get cold enough for my liking, but it will still keep the truck pretty cool. Four-wheel drive is an actual shift lever here, and an electronic actuator and electronic hubs, so you don't have to get out. Cigarette lighter, 12-volt port, and your ashtray, which was a flawed design on these trucks, because if you're going down a rough road, this thing sits here and rattles so annoyingly. I can't hardly stand it, and that happens with all of these pickups. It's just a design flaw. This one's got the shift selector lever here in the middle. Here's your overdrive on and off, so if you're going down a hill, you hit that, then you can pull it back as needed. Does okay going down hills. It's not the best truck, but it's by far not the worst. You got your overhead lighting here that you can click on and off. Got a storage option here on the rails that apparently has too many sunglasses in it. And these rails are not for sliding things, but are so you can add like other accessories in the future, like a DVD player for your back passengers. I also like that this truck has that sliding window in the back there. And if you'll notice the speakers, because it is the audiophile system, you have your standard mid-range speaker there and a tweeter up high, which I really like, and then of course the sub in the back. Also have your center console storage here, which is huge, and you have so much storage for that. And then you also have your glove box storage, which mine's always full of napkins, and registration and stuff's in there too. So kind of a really simply basic truck, but it works, it's functional, it's comfortable, and I love it. Gosh, I just wish it had heated seats. That's the only thing I don't like about this truck. Heated seats and a backup camera would make it better. Of course, that stuff come on later on with age. I could have bought, or I could buy like a 2010, have the exact same pickup, but have some of those more luxurious features in it. Now, I love the 2004 F-150 because it looks way newer than it actually is. Ford kept this body style. The 2004 body style has been in production from 2004 clear up until like 2014. They really actually started to finally make some major changes to where you can like tell them apart from a mile away. Up close, a football field away, there's no way to tell a 2004 apart from a 2014. There's like, if you're a Ford guy, you could probably do it, but it's really hard. They kept the 04 body style until 2010, and then after that, some of the lights started changing and the grille after that. But I love the 2004 because it's actually a really cheap pickup truck on the market, but especially if it's in really good condition like this, people think that it's way newer than it actually is. I get asked all the time what year my truck is. I tell them 04, and they always say, oh, no way, I thought it was like a 2013 or 2012 or something like that. It just happened to me a couple months ago. I picked up one of our employees, and he's like, oh, well, I thought your truck was like a 2014 or 2012. I love the 2004 because it's affordable and it looks way newer than it actually is, and if it's in really good shape, it's still a really, really nice pickup to own and to drive. Now, when Ford says that the F-150 is the best-selling vehicle on the road, no joke, the F-150 is the best-selling vehicle still on the road in the USA. And I can't remember if that stat holds true for the entire world or not, but these are really, really good driving trucks. They're super functional, and they're also really good to own. I'm a Chevy guy at heart, so I would tell you to go out and buy a Chevy. They're just better, they're more reliable, but I worked on my Chevy an awful lot more than I have ever worked on this pickup. And that Duramax parked over there that I featured a lot on my other channel and that I'm going to be featuring on this channel has had like a stack of service records that thick. I've owned this truck for about the same time that the previous owner owned that truck, and I haven't put but maybe 2 service records into the thing, or 2 visits into the shop. So that doesn't hold true for the 5.4 Triton 3 valve. This has been the exception. I'm sure that it's going to get to the point where it's going to need a lot of work, but overall this has been a really good vehicle, and I want to do a review, an actual driving review, where I can get out and talk about how it handles and how it drives and what to expect. But it's just been a really good truck, and I wanted to give you kind of a more in-depth introduction to it and show you around it. So hopefully I have accomplished that in this video, and hopefully I've told you, the story of me buying it and that actually made sense. If so, if you want to see more content like this about my other vehicles, smash the thumbs up button, leave a comment down below so that I know what videos to make for you guys. I'm excited to be doing a review video on this truck, something that I've wanted to do for a long time, but that I've never done. And just like that, this video is over. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you later.
One's a company, two's a crowd, three's a party coming, move around like the first rush when the school is out, when the booze is up, when the sun is down. Enjoy the ride, got some pillows in the Chevy.